Imagine this. You wake up in the dead of night. The world outside is silent, but your heart is thundering in your chest. You can't explain why, you just feel it. Someone, or something, is there with you. That was exactly how it began for Emily Harper, a 28-year-old graphic designer who had just moved into what she thought was her dream home. It was the summer of 2023 in a quiet Ohio suburb. Emily had poured her savings into a beautiful old Victorian house, the kind with creaky floors, grand staircases, and stained glass windows. She got it for a steal, and the realtor had called it quirky, but the locals had whispered another word: cursed. On her very first night, Emily lay in bed, scrolling on her phone, trying to shake off the exhaustion of unpacking. That's when she heard it, the sound that would change everything. A whisper, faint, almost too soft to be real. But it wasn't coming from outside the window or the floor above. It was coming from inside the walls. At first, she froze, straining to hear. The whisper slid across the silence like a snake in the grass. 2 words, clear enough to chill her blood. Help me. Emily sat upright, her phone screen lighting up her pale face. She told herself it was the old pipes groaning, maybe air moving through the vents. Victorian houses were notorious for noises. But deep down, a knot formed in her stomach, a sense that this was different. The air itself felt thicker, pressing down on her. She didn't sleep until dawn. The next morning, over coffee, Emily nervously told her best friend, Sarah, about the whisper. She laughed it off, saying she was probably overtired. But Sarah didn't laugh. She was a true crime junkie, the kind who read cold cases for fun. With just a few searches online, she found something that made Emily's stomach drop. Emily, Sarah said, lowering her voice. Your house. It was the site of a disappearance. A woman named Clara Thompson vanished in the 1920s. No body. No answers. Emily tried to laugh again, but her hand trembled as she lifted her coffee. Later that evening, while unpacking boxes in the attic, she discovered a dusty diary hidden under a loose floorboard. The pages were fragile, but the words jumped out. He's coming for me. I can hear him in the walls. Emily's blood ran cold. She snapped a photo and posted it on Reddit, asking for help. Comments poured in, urban legends, ghost stories. But one anonymous message stood out, flashing on her screen like a warning. Get out now? It's not a ghost. It's worse. They say curiosity killed the cat, but for Emily Harper, curiosity only made the whispers louder. After finding Clara's diary in the attic, Emily couldn't let it go. Who was Clara? Why did she vanish? And why were her words, I can hear him in the walls, the exact same thing Emily had experienced? She needed answers. Emily spent hours in the local library, hunched over dusty archives and yellowed newspapers. What she uncovered felt like the beginning of a nightmare. Clara Thompson, a 22-year-old seamstress, had been engaged to a wealthy man named Elias Blackwood in 1924. But the night before their wedding, Clara vanished without a trace. Elias claimed she had run off, embarrassed him, shamed his name. But whispers in town painted a different picture. Elias was controlling, cruel, and violent behind closed doors. Some even said he snapped when Clara tried to leave, and that he walled her up inside the very house Emily had just bought. Of course, that's just folklore, the librarian whispered nervously, glancing over her shoulder. But people in this town, they still swear you can hear her. Emily left with goosebumps on her arms. That evening, determined to prove she wasn't losing her mind, she invited Sarah over for a girls' night. Pizza, music, laughter. They were halfway through a bottle of wine when the sun dipped below the horizon, and the house shifted into something else entirely. The whispers returned. But this time, they weren't faint. They scratched at the air like nails dragging across wood. Both women froze as the voice rasped out. He's here. Sarah's face drained of color. She heard it too. The two friends tore through the house, searching every corner, every locked door. Nothing. Empty rooms, flickering lights, walls that seemed to pulse with silence. But that night, Emily had a dream, one that left her screaming awake. She saw Clara, a pale woman in a white dress, trapped behind bricks, her hands bleeding as she clawed at the walls, her lips gasping for air. Emily stumbled to the mirror, splashing cold water on her face. And for one split second, just one, she swore she saw a shadow move behind her reflection. Panic set in. She ordered cameras and set them up around the house, desperate to capture proof. When she reviewed the first night's footage, her stomach turned to ice. Static filled the screen, but in one frame, clear as day, a pale hand pressed against the attic wall from the inside. Her Reddit post went viral overnight. Thousands flooded in with ghost stories, theories, warnings. Some urged her to dig deeper, and one anonymous tip pointed her to the living descendants of Elias Blackwood. One name stood out: Marcus Blackwood, still living in town, still guarding his family's secrets. And when Emily called him, pretending to be a history enthusiast, his reply was chilling. Some things are better left buried. The next morning, Emily sat across from Marcus Blackwood in a dimly lit cafe. He looked nervous, his fingers drumming against a chipped mug of coffee. His eyes darted to the windows, as if afraid someone might be watching. "My family always swore Elias was innocent," Marcus began, sliding a stack of faded photographs across the table. "But I don't believe that anymore." Emily studied the images. Elias Blackwood, tall and severe, with a stare that seemed to bore straight into her. The kind of man who demanded control. Marcus hesitated, then pulled a small box from his bag. Inside was a rusted key and a delicate locket with Clara's face inside. "These were found in our attic years ago," he whispered. "I think they belong to your house." Emily's pulse quickened. That night, back home, she clutched the key with trembling hands and walked to the basement. At the far end, behind stacks of dusty boxes, was an old locked door she had never opened. She slipped the key into the lock. It clicked. The door creaked open to reveal a hidden room, air heavy with dust, the smell of mildew clinging to the stone. On the walls were long, jagged scratches, as if fingernails had clawed desperately for freedom. Her chest tightened. This wasn't just a story. From that moment, the house changed. The whispers grew louder. Sometimes they turned into cries, "Free me." Other times, the silence was broken by the sound of footsteps pacing above her, even when she knew the upstairs was empty. Her security cameras began to pick up strange things. Flickering orbs of light, doors opening on their own. In one clip, a shadow darted across the hallway, though Emily was the only one home. Sleep became impossible. Every time she closed her eyes, she dreamed of Clara's suffocating terror. Sarah begged her to leave the house, but Emily shook her head. "No, Clara needs justice." Her obsession grew. She started a YouTube channel, The Haunted House Diary, and uploaded her footage. Almost overnight, her videos exploded. Millions of viewers tuned in, captivated by her story. She was no longer alone. The internet was watching. But fame brought danger. Her comment section filled with threats: "Stop digging, or you'll join her." Emily dismissed them as trolls. Until one night, her front door creaked open on its own. She froze. Footsteps echoed on the second floor. Emily ducked into the closet, phone in hand, whispering to the 911 operator. But before she could finish, the operator gasped. "Ma'am, who else is on the line? I hear someone whispering." By the time Friday rolled around, Emily was unraveling. She hadn't slept properly in days, her eyes rimmed with dark circles, her nerves shot from the constant creaks and whispers. But instead of running, she doubled down. That night, with a storm raging outside, she set up her camera in the attic and went live to thousands of viewers. She clutched Clara's diary in her trembling hands. The chat scrolled at lightning speed, people urging her to stop, others daring her to keep going. Lightning flashed through the cracked window. Thunder rattled the floorboards. "If you're here," Emily called into the dark, her voice breaking, "show yourself." For a moment, nothing, just the storm. Then the attic walls seemed to shudder, as if something inside was trying to break free. The chat exploded. Emily's heart slammed against her ribs. She backed away as dust sifted down from the rafters. Then it happened. The far corner of the attic began to crumble. Bricks loosened and tumbled to the floor, revealing a hollow space behind them. Emily's scream tore through the live stream as her camera captured what lay inside. Skeletal remains, dressed in the tattered remnants of a white gown, a locket still hanging from the neck. It was Clara. The live stream cut to black as Emily dropped the camera, sobbing, screaming for help. Viewers around the world panicked, flooding the police lines with calls. When officers arrived, they found Emily curled in the attic, rocking back and forth, muttering one word over and over: "Him, him, him." Forensics confirmed the bones belonged to Clara Thompson. The legend was true. She had been sealed inside the walls, left to die. But when the autopsy report came back, it revealed something horrifying. The bones bore fresh scratches, as if clawed only weeks earlier. Impossible, unless someone, or something, was still there. Meanwhile, Marcus Blackwood disappeared. His house was empty, his phone off. Investigators soon uncovered the truth. Marcus hadn't been an innocent relative. He had been sneaking into Emily's house, manipulating the vents, mimicking whispers, and staging hauntings. He wanted to scare her away before she exposed his family's past. The threats online? They traced back to him. But one question remained. If Marcus had faked everything, who made the scratches on Clara's bones? Police reviewed Emily's final camera footage. The last seconds showed a shadowy figure standing in the attic corner. Tall, faceless, not Marcus. And then, as lightning flashed, it dissolved into the wall. After that night, Emily could never look at the house the same way. The walls weren't just plaster and wood anymore. They were a tomb, a prison, a reminder of suffering that had lasted a century. Within weeks, she packed up everything she could fit into her car and sold the Victorian at a loss, just to be free of it. But freedom didn't come. Even in her new apartment, 3 states away, the nightmares followed. She dreamed of scratching sounds, of hands pushing through walls, of whispers curling into her ear. Sometimes, she woke with her nails cracked and broken, as if she'd been clawing in her sleep. Meanwhile, the world couldn't get enough of her story. Her YouTube channel, once a small side project, exploded into a global sensation. The Haunted House Diary, clips were replayed on news outlets, reaction channels, and podcasts. The world gave it a name, The Walled-Up Woman. True crime enthusiasts dissected every second of her footage. Paranormal experts debated whether it was proof of ghosts or just clever editing. Skeptics insisted Marcus had faked everything, while believers swore Clara's spirit was real. As for Marcus, police caught up with him weeks later. He confessed to sneaking into Emily's house, staging hauntings, and sending threats. But even behind bars, he wouldn't shut up about what he saw that night. "It wasn't me," he told detectives, his eyes wild. "The whispers, they were there long before. Elias's ghost, or something worse. You don't understand. He's still in those walls." Emily tried to move on. Therapy, medication, meditation, nothing silenced the feeling that she had been marked. Her therapist suggested it was trauma, that her mind was replaying the fear. But late at night, when the apartment was still, she would hear it. Soft at first, almost gentle. "Thank you." Clara's voice. Was it gratitude from beyond the grave? Or just Emily's guilt and imagination twisting into sound? She could never be sure. But one thing she knew. The line between folklore and truth was thinner than anyone wanted to believe. And for every house with history, for every wall thick enough to hide secrets, there might be another Clara, waiting. So the next time you hear a whisper in the dark, ask yourself, is it the house settling? Or is it something, someone, that's been waiting to be found? Because the scariest truths aren't the ones in stories. They're the ones we bury, right behind our walls.